just getting ready.
Good idea. Sidewalk road. Here we go again. We did nothing but good
Pretty good crowd there. Oh, I know one thing. Because of the weather. Pretty good deal. Enjoy. I can say no. Meet the soldiers. He and I went down there one weekend. No, go ahead, Junior. Anyway,
Folks, we're going to get started in about 2 minutes, so go ahead, get finished up. We'll get going here real shortly.
That's 2 minutes. That's 2 minutes.
What I want to know is, how did this thing get scheduled from January when it was 70 degrees? Here we are March 1st, and it's definitely coming in like a lion. Well, we want to welcome all of you to our Chamber of Commerce annual banquet for 2002. We have some thank yous we'd first of all like to make. First of all, as you can imagine, putting the program together and putting this whole banquet together is a big job, and so we want to thank our chamber staff, Nancy Morrissey and Sally Chandler, for their hard work in putting this together, as well as Bob Phipps, so let's give them a hand. We'd also like to thank the sponsors of this evening's banquet, who are conspicuously seated up here towards the front of the room. And I'd like to thank all them and point them out. First of all, Fessler Auto Mall for their sponsorship of the banquet. Foss, Kiken, Kunkel, and Cochran for their sponsorship. And also, Iowa State Bank and Trust Company. Let's thank our sponsors of the banquet. We also are fortunate to have the Best Western and this facility and the good banquet facilities we have here at Best Western, and I'd like to thank Best Western and their staff. And is Ross here? Wave, Ross, where are you? There he is. Thank you, and I just want to say beforehand, this is so good of Ross, and everybody really does need to give him a hand. The weather, now I'm going to try and get you out of here before there's a foot of snow on the ground, but in the event we have some really bad weather, Ross has offered to put everybody up $5 a room, complimentary breakfast. So thank you, Ross. We may never have the banquet here again. One other thank you I'd like to make. All of you, of course, every year see these folks in the red blazers, our ambassadors, who do such a great job of welcoming new businesses to town, and as we came in tonight, welcoming us to the banquet. I think the ambassadors deserve a big round of applause, too. I also want to thank Jim Weatherspoon from First Baptist Church for giving the invocation this evening. Jim is an ex officio member of the Chamber Board representing the local ministerial association. Now, you don't know this, Jim, but I saved you some significant embarrassment tonight. He has no idea. This is the truth. He has no idea. Bob, yesterday, since I'm emceeing this evening, brought over the final draft of the program for this evening and says, take a look at this, Myron. And, you know, I kind of wanted to look at it since obviously I was emceeing this thing. So I take a look at it. And, you know, this is about 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. And it says, and I got it right here if you want to read it, it says, Invocation, Reverend Jim Waterspout. Now, in the Christian faith, there is a significant religious symbolism to water. You know, you think of parting the Red Sea and baptism by water, turning water into wine. But you know, I figured Jim is probably not going to feel terribly honored to be called Reverend Waterspout. So, I point this out to Bob. Bob says a few words that personally I do not recall being in the Bible. Not really. No, Bob was very cool about it. He was on the speakerphone in my office, so I heard the whole thing. But anyway, he relays that we got this little problem in the program that we need to get taken care of. And so anyway, Jim, I immediately formulated a theory as to how this occurred, and I am happy to report that I sat right down at my computer right then and confirmed that theory. So you are not the object of any prankster in the chamber office. In fact, you were the innocent victim of Microsoft Word spell check. And in fact, if you type in Wotherspoon, the suggested correction is waterspout. And when the program was spell checked, you were Reverend Jim Waterspout. Now, how did I figure that out so quickly? Well, when you usually think of a lawyer, you probably think of a noble professional diligently toiling away in his office preparing stuff for his clients.
Like Bill?
Yeah, bills. Maybe you don't think of us that way. Anyway, I got this email, and this has been a couple of months ago, but I get this email from one of my diligent, toiling brethren of the bar over in Ottumwa, Iowa. And here's what it said, basically. Hey, Myron, you know what the suggested correction on spell check is for Myron Gookin? Moron goon. You try it. So I too have been the victim of spell check, Jim. But quite frankly, I think I'd rather be a waterspout than a moron goon. Well, the annual banquet is always a great time to look back on last year's events and accomplishments and to look forward to next year. And this year, at least on a national and an international level, it's kind of difficult to look back on the past year with a whole lot of joy. Our country was attacked. Thousands of innocent people lost their lives. Our economy took a hit. Government at every level now, as we all know if we read the newspaper, is dealing with serious budget shortfalls. And none of us are ever going to forget September 11th or the days or the weeks or the fallout of that day. That's the bad news. The good news is, as a nation, we refuse to let that tragedy consume us or destroy us. And the good news is we have an abiding faith as Americans that things will get better. And if we work hard and if we work together, we can overcome any adversity and accomplish anything for the good of our nation. And that spirit, I'm happy to report, is just as alive here in Fairfield, Iowa, as it is anywhere in this country. And tonight we have a lot of great things to cheer and applaud that have happened in Fairfield over the past year, because a lot of great people in this community, a lot of great people in this room, have worked hard and worked together for the common good of their community. So tonight, despite what we may have experienced in the last year, let's celebrate the great things that we've done as a Chamber of Commerce and as a community, because we do have a lot to celebrate. Now, the first person I'd like to introduce this evening is certainly no stranger to this banquet or to the community. The Fairfield Economic Development Association has a lot to do with the economic vitality of Fairfield. Dave Reef is the president of FEDA, and he's going to share what's been happening with FEDA during the past year. But before Dave comes up, how many of you knew that Dave has performed a dance at halftime to thunderous cheering at Carver Hawkeye Arena? Did anybody know that? Does anybody know that Dave has that kind of talent? I don't even think Dave knows he has that kind of talent. Well, anyway, I was at a Hawkeye basketball game very, very early in the season. You know, back when everybody thought the Hawkeyes had talent. It's kind of hard to remember back that far, isn't it? You know, I'm from Iowa State, so I have to kind of Anyway, it's halftime. The band's playing, you know, the crowd is cheering and rocking, and there's Dave. I couldn't believe it. He's performing this incredible break dance splits type of thing. I never seen anything like it. It was just incredible. Now, in all honesty, I suppose I should clarify that the crowd really wasn't cheering for Dave, and Dave wasn't really dancing. I mean, it kind of looked like he was dancing, this break dance, doing the splits thing, but really that was just all because he was in his cowboy boots and he'd slipped on some ice cream. But I'm here to tell you, Dave Reeve, despite the fact that here I am at a Big Ten basketball game where the Hawkeyes are playing, you were the best entertainment of the night. Please welcome FIDA President Dave Reeve.
I'm beginning to see why I was cut down to 2 minutes. Seriously, we really appreciate the opportunity to share just a few minutes this evening, actually share your banquet. We're eternally grateful to the Chamber for letting us share not only this night, but all year long, a very competent staff and a place to office, and I guess that's been going on for 20 years, long before consolidation and downsizing and all this happened. Someone saw the wisdom in combining efforts long ago, and we appreciate working together all year long. I'm going to introduce the board, and some are here. You can raise your hand. I won't make you stand. Current board is Craig Foss, Ross Walker, Royce Huff, Pete Nelson, Dick Smith, our newcomers to the board are Mayor Malloy and Devlin Wilson. We welcome them. Our invaluable ex officios that have been there for years and years working diligently would be certainly Tom Thompson, our longtime treasurer, John Morrissey, our consul, and of course, Mayor Robert Rasmussen. Again, we're going to have another great year. We certainly think the developments in the industrial park actually, when it started shifting into a business park away from the hard industrial stuff a couple years ago, really started setting a tone there. And the chapel studios probably led the way with their very nice building. This year up and running, we really appreciate the Harper Brush. I've seen Barry here somewhere. They're great new addition and all the jobs it brings. Certainly the rest of the awards tonight, the TD&T and AEA, just real votes of confidence on the future of Fairfield. And I'll echo what Myron said. We're all proud of the accomplishments here, and despite everything else that's gone on, you can give yourselves a hand that you live in Fairfield, and we all get along quite well. So enjoy the evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Next person on our agenda this evening, our program, is Jay Mitchell, who's going to present the Business and Community Improvement Awards. Jay, who is a Chamber Board Vice President, is here this evening to present those awards, and we're going to do something a little different than what we've done in the past. In your program, if you look, there is some detailed information about each of these award winners. And rather than stand up here this evening and read that information to you, we would simply ask that you read that over and learn more about this year's award winners. Plus, you never know what kind of a spell check error you might find in there. It's been a real privilege to get to know Jay over the last 8 or 9 years. I've gotten to know him. No, come back here. Come back here. You're on my list, too. I've gotten to know Jay not only through the Chamber of Commerce and Rotary and RAGBRAI and lots of other community involvement, but also as a business partner in Fairfield Radio Group, together with Dave Neff and Ed Malloy and Bob Phipps with our local radio stations. And having been involved with Jay in so many different things, I can say with the greatest confidence that Jay is the biggest techno geek in Fairfield. And he readily admits to it. If it has buttons, meters, lights, keyboard, central processing unit, or anything digital, Jay has it. And unlike most of us, he generally knows how to run all the functions also. Let's put it this way. Most of us have, that antiquated, maybe 486 computer with spell check that thinks Jim Weatherspoon is Jim Waterspout. Then you got Jay. Jay's got his Pentium 4 computer with this advanced spell check software that's connected 24/7 to the World Wide Web via dedicated satellite uplink that provides immediate spelling resources and interactive dialogue with every major university and dictionary publisher in the world. Isn't that true? And as you would expect, spells Jim's name Jim Wobblespoof. So please welcome Jay Mitchell.
Welcome to the Friars Roast. Really, I'm here to talk about Y3K. It's coming. You ready? No, this is really one of my favorite parts of the evening, to recognize some of the members that have stepped out, made some commitments to the community, to their own businesses, and as Myron says, we're not going to say anything about them, so I'm just going to stand here silently. That'll be the day, right? We'll go through and just give a little quick recap of each of the businesses, and my lovely assistant, Deb Davis. Give it up for Deb. Yeah. She gets to do the legwork tonight and hand out the awards. But basically, we're very proud of these people, and we appreciate their contributions to the community, and I know that you join me in that appreciation. Bovard Studio, and Ron Bovard is here and will accept basically the Fairfield Livestock Exchange barns were converted to over 40,000 square feet of office, manufacturing, and warehouse space. So Ron, thank you for making that conversion.
Bovine to Bovard.
That's it. I get no respect.
Sorry.
Sorry. Brown Shoe Fit Company, and Mark Brownrigg is here to accept. Basically, their store was relocated from the downtown square to a newer brick building on Highway 34 West, also adding a J.C. Penney catalog center. So thank you, Brown Shoe Fit, for your upgrading. Oh, that's right. That's right. Mark isn't here. I wasn't reading my own hieroglyphics correctly, but we love him anyway, even if he's not here. Central Valley Bank, and they have constructed a new 3,500 square foot building opening in April of last year, which offers a drive-up service with extended hours, 24-hour drive-up ATM, and a much broader range of services. And Sean Lisk is here to accept for Central Valley Bank. Sean? We have Curves for Women / Tropical Tan. Major improvements made to the facility, installing 2 restrooms, removing a brick wall to a garage, and finishing the portion of the building that where the garage was, installing 3 tanning rooms, ceiling fans, and building a new counter. So Susan and Mark Bell, congratulations on that achievement for Curves for Women and Tropical Tan. Edward Jones had a big remodel this year, basically just the first phase of a two-part remodel, providing space for 3 additional offices. What they did is they expanded into the alleyway, and they've been growing rapidly, and so they accommodated that with some new office space. And at some point in the future, we will be looking forward to part 2. But in the meantime, John Stever and Edward Jones, congratulations. Then there's F&E Partners, LLC, the Jade Building. And if some of you, it's kind of out of the way. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a terrific building, the newest high-tech building in Fairfield. Has 30,000 square feet, houses about 100 tenants, and Ernie Robson is here to accept for F&E Partners, LLC. Congratulations. And Finney Auto Body also made some improvements this year and is a recipient of our Business Improvement Awards. It's a new building constructed to the west of the main body shop. Contains a station for preparing automobiles for painting and a state-of-the-art downdraft paint booth. And Wilson will be explaining what that is out in the hall after. But there's a bake cycle, so it's kind of like a microwave, I guess. And so anyway, Wilson Finney is here to accept for Finney Auto Body. Congratulations. George's Pizza and Steakhouse. George couldn't be with us tonight, which is why we can't pronounce his last name anyway. So, but the business originally started in Fairfield some years ago. He's future planning to retire in Fairfield, so he remodeled a former shoe store located on the square into a restaurant. So we do want to congratulate George's Pizza and Steakhouse and our man George for doing that. Heartland Real Estate is another recipient of Business Improvement Award this year, along with Christopher Kuffner at America's Diamond. They kind of went together, teamed up to establish a combination real estate art gallery facility. If you haven't seen it, it's quite unique and very nice. And it combines the two businesses, Heartland and America's Diamond. So Patty Hamilton is here to accept for Heartland, and congratulations, Patty. Kessel's Conoco, previous canopy over the gasoline pumps, was replaced with a new and larger canopy to adhere to Conoco's new image and to keep us drier when we're pumping gas. Gasoline dispensers replaced and upgraded to include 24-hour service with approved credit cards. So Steve and Lori Kessel, congratulations, Kessel Conoco. And then Libertyville Savings Bank, the Fairfield office, was remodeled to accommodate 3 new offices, which increased the number of employees to 12, with a total of 25 employees among the 3 locations. So Jill Burnett, who's the Executive Vice President of Libertyville Savings Bank, congratulations to you and to the whole crew. Regina's Restaurant has also done an upgrade and is a recipient of one of our awards. They restored the building back to its natural state. Original brick is exposed, the high ceilings, the original posts and beams were exposed once again. The kitchen area was expanded, and so was the seating area for us consumers of the food, and a full oak bar also was installed in the bar area. So Regina Woodard, congratulations for Regina's. We have TD&T Financial Group, and they've put quite a good building in out there with leather seats everywhere. I want to tell you, I had a bet with somebody about that. No, those aren't leather seats. Yeah, leather seats. But basically, it's a 3,400 square foot brick office building. New facility, 2109 West Jefferson, houses their complete public accounting and investment advisory staff. And so on behalf of TD&T Financial Group, Tom Thompson and Jody Kerr are here, so congratulations to them. and I took one of your chairs. You didn't even know. When you had the open house, out the back door. Timeless Treasures. After collecting various items for several years, they decided to sell some of it. They knew of others with the same idea, and so they kind of put things together as an antique mall. So Sharon and Ed James, congratulations for Timeless Treasures as a Business Improvement Award recipient. Shall I segue?
Please.
Mr. President? Okay. Or Mr. whatever you are tonight. Mr. Spellcheck. Another wonderful thing that we get to do every year, and Deb and I have had the pleasure of doing this one as well, is the Community Improvement Award, one of which I think President Jim is going to talk about at some point, so I'll not say anything about that. But we're very, very happy to award a 2001 Community Improvement Award to the Fairfield Area Community School District Auxiliary Services Department. Very easy to say. Fairfield Community School District purchased a little over 4 acres from the Fairfield Economic Development Association last year, or actually 2 years ago, with the goal of constructing a facility that would house the Auxiliary Services Department, which includes the transportation and maintenance services for the schools. Does that have buses in it? Is that like part of it? It's a bus deal is what it is. All right, it's a bus deal. All right. So anyway, Glenn Tedrow, who's the Director of Auxiliary Services with the input from transportation and maintenance personnel, designed the facility to service the district's fleet of school buses and support vehicles and have adequate space for plumbing, electrical, welding, and carpentry shops as well. And on behalf of the school district, tonight we have Steve Triplett to accept the Community Improvement Award for the Fairfield Area Community School District Auxiliary Services Department. Congratulations. And we're done. Thank you.
We'll get back to Jim in a few moments. Well, the next item on our program is the Entrepreneur of the Year Award. And let me tell you, I've been worried all week whether I could say that or not. Entrepreneur, that's one you always struggle with. We have Bert Chanowski from coolcall.com that's going to present this award, and Bert is getting off way too easy this evening. I just don't know Bert well enough to be able to, stick a knife in his back and twist it, which is probably a relief to him. But I will tell you this, I put his name in spell check, crashed my computer. Bert Chanowski.
I'm president of the Fairfield Entrepreneurs Association, and it's part of the Chamber of Commerce. And one of our aspirations this year is to get a little bit higher profile in the community, so maybe even next year we'll be in the program. But I wanted to talk about Fairfield entrepreneurs because even Governor Branstad, former governor, called Fairfield the entrepreneurial capital of Iowa. There's no doubt that Fairfield is the capital of innovation, starting new businesses, and in the last quarter alone, 50% of the venture capital that was invested in Iowa came to Fairfield. Over probably the last 5 years, 30% of all venture capital invested in Iowa has ended up in Jefferson County. Some of the activities of the FEA have been, we've hosted a number of seminars. The last one we had was in this room last fall, brought in venture capital and angel investors from around the country to talk about growing your business in Silicon Valley. And we had an incredible event, all-day event, and part of the highlight of it was for would-be entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs to pitch their ideas, to bounce their ideas off of really experienced investors. And I would imagine it took probably an hour and a half after at the end of the day, because people waited in line for about an hour to pitch their ideas. Fairfield is is more famous now for the moniker of Silicon Valley than anything else. Just as a test, I went on to Goggle, on the my favorite search engine, and clicked on Silicon Valley. And I kept clicking on page after page after page after page, and you wouldn't believe the number of references. And of course, one of my favorite was in the Cape Cod Post. And I think it was kind of reprint from the Red Herring, but it had the 10 list of the 10 outposts of the internet. And Silicon Valley or Fairfield was number 10. It was the furthest outpost. And I know in our case, we've built an international business here in Fairfield. A lot of companies have built international business. And Fairfield has really thrived with the internet, and I think it will continue to thrive. We have, in the last week, I have to tell you just a couple of things that the FEA is doing, then I want to get on. I've got 2 awards to give out tonight. We've been up to the governor's office, or actually met with the governor's chief advisor on fiscal and economic policy, because the FEA has been solicited for support or advice by a lot of our state senators have come to Fairfield to really find how they can, number one, duplicate the success of Fairfield in terms of entrepreneurial spirit. Well, number 2 is get our advice on some of the new legislation that has recently been passed and signed by the governor, including the venture capital bill and the seed capital bill. And now the FEA is making three nominations for what's called the Iowa Capital Investment Corporation. And there's a lot of support in Des Moines for representation of Fairfield on that board. We've also kicked off this week a steering committee to form the Silicon Valley Investors Fund. We want to raise maybe $10, $20 million with a combination of local money. This new legislation provides for the fund of funds, and the SBA has a program that we can qualify for. There was a meeting last night that some of you attended for a Fairfield incubator to help start and support more entrepreneurs in Fairfield. Anyway, what I'd like to do tonight, one of the things I thought was we need to put Fairfield as really the entrepreneurial capital. One of the ideas I've had as part of the FEA and was to start a Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame here. And I'd like to begin tonight by giving the first award, or first inductee into the Fairfield Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame, and that is A.K. Harper. And many of you know Harper Brush. You know, I'm just fascinated to read some of the stories and really understand about Alfonso King Harper and what his inspiration was in starting his business, because he started his business as a 22-year-old, started some other businesses, and he was inspired by most entrepreneurs by his mother. And saw how his mother had to toil and work and created a brush kit that all of a sudden people said, hey, I want to buy one of those. Another one wanted to buy one of those. And then his success was he created a distribution network of people to go out and buy or sell these brushes one-on-one and knock on doors and show people how it works. And that's still one of their strongest channels today at Harper Brush. And you know, the story of Alfonso, or AK, didn't end there, because after his company became fairly successful, he really turned to what was passionate in his life, and that was preaching the gospel. And he used to travel around Iowa, have a tent, preach the gospel, raise money, have it, all the money raised was stayed in the local community. So it's my great pleasure, and I invite Barry Harper to come up and accept. We don't really have an award, but I'd like to have him at least accept the award. First inductee into the Fairfield Entrepreneurs Hall of Fame, A.K. Harper. now that I've got Barry up here, under kind of false pretenses, we have another award to give tonight, and that is Entrepreneur of the Year, Barry Harper. Let me just make a few other comments, and then I'll let Barry. I know he's not shy about speaking either, and say that it doesn't have to be that a business is 100 years old to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, but it certainly doesn't hurt. I know Barry took over President Harper Brush in 1990, and since then, phenomenal growth at Harper Brush. 5 times the square footage. I think 5 times the number of employees, 10 times the number of revenues, 3 million to about 30 million. I found some new distribution channels in terms of Costco, Home Depot, some other things, and great asset to the community, great gentleman, and again, Entrepreneur of the Year, Barry Harper.
Total surprise, so nothing prepared. However, I would like to share one thing. Yesterday, interestingly enough, about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Diane Gowdy approached me through one of her students to speak to her management and marketing class on entrepreneur. I thought that was somewhat ironic, and so yesterday I got a chance to spend a whole hour, 45 minutes, whatever it was, with the class, telling them the Harper story and some of my experiences and some of the other entrepreneurs out there that I know through distant business contacts, and tried to stimulate the interest among the students in the classroom that it really is a good way to create a living for yourself and a career path, and hopefully instilled some energy in them to give it a try at some point down the road. And I think Bert certainly has brought a lot of that kind of energy, and some of the other people to Fairfield to create the atmosphere that I guess the governor says, hey, we're #1 in the state, which is great. I do believe that you can take an old business, any business, and create energy and create that spirit of entrepreneur. Let your employees be part of the process and encourage them to participate. So thanks for the award.
Congratulations, Barry, and thank you, Bert. Next item on our program this evening, it's a real pleasure to be able to introduce our past outgoing chamber president, Jody Kerr. You know, it's always fun to learn little tidbits about our chamber leaders that they're just too modest to talk about. And it's even, quite frankly, more fun to share them with you. I think everybody knows Jody and her husband Mickey are big NASCAR and race fans. And in fact, Mickey, you actually race, don't you? Do you race stock cars? Is that right? Used to. Okay, so used to anyway. But here's the interesting thing about that. You know, driving a race car, you know, you can sit there and watch a race, and after a couple of laps, wonder, okay, what's the trick to this? But driving a race car really is an art and a skill. There's just absolutely no question about that. And despite that, as I understand it, Mickey has never really been to any kind of a driving school or anything. On the other hand, although Jody doesn't drive race cars, it's my understanding that she has been to a driving school. And I guess the difference is that if you drive fast on a racetrack, you don't need any special driving school. But if you drive fast on, say, Highway 34, the DOT says that you need to graduate from a special driving school. So, Jody, congratulations on your opportunity to obtain a higher degree in driver education. Now, as our outgoing chamber president, Jody has done just a fantastic job of leading the chamber with great enthusiasm and optimism. in a year where, sometimes it's kind of difficult to be enthusiastic and optimistic. And as any former Chamber Board president can tell you, your year as a Chamber president is a very challenging and time-consuming year. And it's certainly been no different for Jody. She's been extremely busy with her chamber responsibilities, and on top of that, as many of you know, and have already heard this evening, her accounting firm, Theobald Donahue & Thompson, has been in the midst of building and moving into this new office facility out in the industrial park. So, with those kinds of pressures, it's probably no wonder all of Jody's tax clients got extensions for filing their 2000 tax returns. But Jody, quite frankly, we think that getting extensions already for all of your 2001 tax returns is maybe going a little bit too far. Now, Tom Thompson, one of Jody's partners, was actually a bit concerned, a little worried about Jody this past year, especially around that very busy time here recently when they were moving into their new office building. You know what's coming, don't you? Okay. And Jody and her family were there at the open house for the new office building for Theobald Donahue. Now she knows. I saw it out of the corner of my eye. Are there at the open house, and Jody accidentally left their 6-year-old daughter Hannah at the open house. So, Tom's kind of looking after Hannah and trying to make sure, she felt comfortable and secure until Jody returned. But much to his surprise, it didn't seem to bother Hannah at all. And in fact, Hannah told Tom, actually, this has happened before. So we're all glad Jody can take one thing off her busy plate for the coming year, but she's done a fantastic job, and we're so thankful for her commitment to the Chamber and to the community. Would you please welcome our outgoing Chamber President, Jody Kerr.
Well, I know I'm not up here for Mother of the Year, so that's obvious. Oh, yeah, that was a hectic evening, and yeah, you got a good one. Boy, you've been asking around, Myron. I was a little worried. Well, as you can see from the agenda, I've got a lot to cover while I'm up here, so I'm going to get started in the essence of time. I would also like to thank the staff for putting the banquet together. We tried this committee last year, and I'm not sure Bob was real fond of it. He didn't ask us again this year if we wanted to do this by committee, so anyway, we need to thank them for putting it all together. I would also like to thank my board members for this last year, their dedication and their time and their efforts that they put forward during my year as president. I appreciate all the effort that you all gave for me this last year. As Myron mentioned, as I reflect back on 2001, it was a year full of events and memories. Some of them we all share and some of them we don't. As a country, we are persevering the events and the tragedy of September 11th. As a community, I feel also we're making it through this slow economy right now. And we should be proud of the things that we've accomplished despite some recent closings and the slowdown of the economy currently. And so I just want to touch on a few of the things that I felt were the highlights last year. First of all, back at the 2001 board planning session, one topic of discussion was the proposed Jefferson County Civic Center. And as a board, we agreed to support and promote the facility in whatever capacity that we could. Then at a special meeting we held last January, the Civic Center board proposed a concept to us that included the chamber having offices located in their new facility. We would provide a full-time presence for them to in the building itself, just kind of for security reasons. There would always be somebody there, basically. And also would help in the promotion and scheduling of the convention pavilion itself. We see it as a win-win situation, really, for both organizations, and we anxiously await their future announcements, so we're really looking forward to that down the road. I unfortunately wish I could be around and a little more involved at the time that might occur, but I'll have to enjoy it as a member at that time, I guess, rather than as a board director at that time. Another goal that we set for 2000 was to focus on the revitalization of the downtown area. And about a year ago, we announced a program named the Fairfield Revitalization Fund. And this was a collaborative effort of our local banks to provide some short-term, low-interest financing to retailers around the square that they could use for various activities, improvements, inventory purchases, things like that, to try to spark some activity down there. And we're happy to report that the committee during the year received and approved 13 applications. And I think that even some of our recipients tonight of the Business Improvement Awards might have actually been participants of that program. Even more exciting than that, also, this program has been extended now for 2002. So the banks decided to go ahead and extend that a little bit longer, and I believe we've already got some applications so far this year. So we hope to see continued interest and success of that program all the way throughout the next year. Last fall, we submitted, when I say we, primarily Bob was instrumental and Greg Hanshaw in drafting together an application that went to the Iowa Architectural Foundation to be considered for a program they have called the Community Design Program. And late January of this year, we were informed that our community was actually selected, just one of 3 communities in the whole state, to conduct their community design program in. And they'll have workshops coming up later this year. It will provide us with some professional assistance with our revitalization efforts of the downtown area at a very affordable price. We look forward to their arrival later this year to coordinate the efforts and ideas of our community and the development of a plan that we could feasibly carry out. And we look forward, there'll be some of you asked to participate in that program, and so we encourage you to be involved if you can, and if you're asked, and give your input. This actual program is the application process and the funding of this particular program is a joint effort, not only with the Chamber and with FEDA and the city government, the city council. So we're all excited about that and what ideas they can help us come up with. Also during 2001, we were committed to the completion of the Fairfield Heritage Courtyard at the corner of 2nd Street in Burlington. I spoke about it last year at the banquet that was one of our goals, and even though the Fairfield Area Foundation basically has been managing the project, it took a little bit of financial backing by the Chamber to allow completion of the first phase. And if any of you remember, exactly 1 month after the national tragedy, on October 11th, Kent and Rhonda Whitney, Matt Nelson, Deb and Chris Davis, and George Davis began the 2-day process of installing the brick and granite pavers that you see there today. Some were already engraved, and then some were actually blank and left available for future engraving. Since that time last fall, Kent has actually engraved 30 more on site, and actually reported to me today that he has 20 more orders already. So we appreciate again your continued support of that project. Encourage you that maybe haven't participated to go check it out. I know that I'm always in awe when I drive by there, and of course in the nicer weather we had this year earlier, people would be standing there checking it out and looking, I suppose, for their brick, or maybe just trying to see who all was involved. Then on January 20th of this year, we dedicated that courtyard to the Mayor, Robert and Martha Rasmussen, to recognize their years of service to this community, because it was somewhat of the brainchild of Mayor Rasmussen. So we thank you for continuing to push us to get that done. We also look forward to future phases of that project. We've got a lot of great ideas that foundation board and Kent has, and things that we can do down the road. So again, the continued funding of the project will complete the payment of what we've done so far, plus fund future phases of that. So again, we really need your support in this down the road. Another item that occurred during the year, the passage of the hotel-motel room tax. We're excited at the prospect of having funds available to the community to promote tourism. So many organizations struggle financially to support their basic purpose or project, and then there's nothing left at the end for collateral materials or marketing efforts of what they have to offer. And we feel with the funds generated from this new tax that hopefully we can spread the word of what we have to offer here in Fairfield area with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, possibly housed within the Chamber of Commerce. So we really think that funding, as it starts to trickle in, can have a positive impact on the area, and we can help kind of toot our own horn and let people out there know what we do have to offer, because sometimes we take it for granted, what we have. And so it doesn't hurt to have information out to various in publications and different organizations. We've already been asked by actually neighboring chambers of commerce to, what do we have that they could put in some packets that they hand out for people that are coming to their communities for a certain event, because if they're in the area, they want to help promote Fairfield as much as we do, and it'd be joint efforts, and we would all share in that promotional effort. And if we had materials that we could give them, that would be one place that these funds could be used. The Chamber of Commerce was also proud this last year, I feel, to have 2 opportunities to really showcase Fairfield to some outsiders during 2001. In February, we had a group of 30 members of the Leadership Iowa, which is a program sponsored by the Association of Business and Industry. They spent 2 days in Fairfield for their monthly class. They basically travel around the state and visit a different community each month. Their focus for this particular month they were in Fairfield was technology. Their agenda while they were here was developed primarily by our staff, and we had some excellent feedback after they had been here regarding their experience. I actually sat in on one of the sessions actually right here at Best Western, and then got to read some of their feedback at that time as well. So it was a very positive experience to have them, because they are all people from Iowa, so they're learning a little bit more about our corner of the state here. Then in August, we had Senator Charles Grassley. He brought ambassadors from our nation's capital through Fairfield during a whirlwind tour of the state, and no pun intended, Jim. It was pretty windy that day that some of us went over to Mount Pleasant and actually greeted them as they boarded buses to travel to Fairfield. And it was a windy day, but they attended an early morning business fair right here again at the Best Western that was organized by our staff, and received some promotional materials about Fairfield in general. You know, it's hard to predict the specific results from this type of networking, but it was a great opportunity to share what we do here in Southeast Iowa with people really from all over the world. And I know they were very impressed with what we had to show them here, and some of the businesses and companies that we had, and some of the companies that participated in the fair have international business, and some of them not. But again, it was a great experience to see that all come together. Well, basically, those are the few highlights during my term that I wanted to mention. It was a good year, I believe, overall for the Chamber in a lot of respects. We accomplished a few things we set out to, and a few more that we didn't even plan on in the beginning of the year. And I just can hope that I have given as much as I have actually received from my time serving the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce. And if you're not actively involved in our organization, I would encourage you to get involved in a project or a committee, because you really don't understand the workings of what the Chamber does out there until you are involved in some of these committees and these projects. So again, I would like to encourage you to stay involved, get new involvement, and get some other people in your employment involved in the Chamber. So again, thanks again for your support during this last year. I appreciate it. At this time, I would like to recognize a couple past directors that finished their terms on our board this last year. Basically, they're retiring off the board. John Stever has served on our board for the last 3 years, and most recently was, I believe, a member of our Fairfield Revitalization Fund committee that reviewed those applications that came in. And also Steve Triplett. He served for the past 6 years and also held the position of Vice President of Economic Development. We thank you both for your service and your involvement during your terms here with the Chamber of Commerce. And I think Bob has a little something for you. So if you would come forward. Myron had thanked earlier the Ambassador Club, and I guess I would like to just take this time to also recognize them and have them stand so that everybody can see them. I know the red coats do kind of stand out, but some of you maybe don't have those on. So as I read your name, if you'd please stand. Mel Allen, Debbie Carlson, Deb Davis, Donna Henderson, Scott Johnson, Scott Kraus, Kim Ledger, Greg Lowenberg, Julie Manning, Dave Neff, Bev Nelson, Larry Smith, Rhonda Whitney, and Sharon Workman. Thank you again. Also, we've had a few ambassadors that have retired off of that group this last year, and so I would like to recognize them as well. Connie Curtis with American Express Financial Services. I don't know if Connie's here this evening. Lefty Page with Lefty's Real Estate. And I don't know how many of you realize this. Lefty was actually one of the original ambassadors. The group started back in 1978. So I guess he might have been the historian. So again, a lot of years of service by Lefty, and we appreciate that. Linda Pettit with Finishing Touch. Polly Reeder with Polly's Bed and Breakfast. And Tom Thompson with TD&T Financial Group. So thank you. And that brings me to my next award, the President's Award. While attending past annual banquets, I've noted that the President's Award each year had different meanings to different people. Unfortunately, at the Chamber, they don't really give us a manual about these things, and I guess so it's just up to us to give a President's Award and for ourselves what it represents. I want to recognize a person that has inspired and instilled in me the meaning of volunteerism and community involvement. You can't ignore the difference one person can make in their community when you witness it on a daily basis. Those of you who know who I'm talking about know many of his accomplishments, but very few of you are aware of all of them. I don't expect to match his accomplishments, but I'm grateful that he has taught me the importance of giving back to my community. I would not be standing here tonight without his support and encouragement. Tom Thompson is the recipient of my President's Award tonight. Oh, now the moment I've been waiting for, passing the gavel. And I don't know, do I have the gavel? Bob, do you have the gavel? Oh, the gavel's here. Okay. We have the gavel, Bev. The gavel's here. All right. Well, it's time for me to introduce the Chamber President for 2002. He's already off to a great start. He has totally, just in a little over a month and a half, reorganized the organizational chart, expanding it from one page, nice diagrammed, organizational chart, to 4 pages. And assigned us all our duties. He's obviously not afraid of change and delegation, so we've got that down pat. And, I must stick with the tradition that I don't know if it was started last year exactly, but it definitely was done for me, to present the new president with a gift to go along with the gavel. In light of his large appetite, so prominently displayed at his first FIDA meeting over a year ago, I have in this envelope a completed subway card for a free 6-inch subway for those emergencies, Jim, when you feel you need that second sandwich. This way, you won't have to eat someone else's. Our 2002 President, Jim Pedrick.
Have you ever used this?
No, I don't think I was allowed, so maybe you're going to break it in.
Can I try it out?
Sure.
What? I think everybody needs to stretch your legs a little bit, so let's see if this gavel works. Some people maybe know what that means. That's your chance to stand up. Don't run off, though. Is that long enough, Bob? Okay, now I can... There, please be seated. Put that away for another year. Well, to start with, I want to say that I'm really happy to see that Myron is here tonight. Since Myron and I were in college together, I felt that I might need some preemptive strike, so I thought I'd tell a little story from our past.
I get up after you,
Well, I know. Open a can of worms. But there was a time when Myron and I were in college at Iowa Wesleyan, and we both worked for Iowa Wesleyan College Television, Channel 5, much like FPAC. And I was a lowly cameraman. Myron hosted a Sunday evening program called The Professionals. Where he brought in various professions, such as attorneys, and interviewed them about their profession. Well, on one Sunday night, he apparently had a difficult time saying goodbye at home and getting back to campus. And they were putting the microphone on the cameraman, preparing to put him on camera to do the interviewing that night when Myron ran into the studio. So tonight I am happy that you are here. I want to introduce my family that is seated at the table up here, my mother and father, June and Bob Pedrick, and my sister, Kathleen Humble, and her husband and my partner, Monty Humble. They couldn't make any friends during the reception. I think I may need to ask Phipps for a further discount on this sponsorship. Well, Jay mentioned that I had something to say about our other Community Improvement Award recipient, and I do want to tell you that one of the first highlights of my year as president was presenting that on January the 20th at the National Guard Armory. The Fairfield Armory, as we all know, I hope, houses the 224th Engineer Battalion Staff, Headquarters and Headquarters Company, 224th Engineer Battalion, and the 34th Army Band. And if you don't realize it, the Armory and the soldiers who use it are real assets to our community. We need to brag about them every chance we get. Maybe even put up a sign on the highway. Everyone knows this is the 34th Infantry Highway. Well, in Fairfield, maybe it ought to be known as the 34th Army Band Highway. We're proud of them, and we're proud to recognize the big improvement that was made out there this past year. Well, that was just the introduction. You might be wondering what qualifications I have to be president of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce. I know I am. Well, I hope you don't think I'm bragging, but the most relevant experience that I have is being past president of the Dowds Community Club. And in light of the weather outside, I do need to talk a little bit about that experience. As I was beginning that job, longtime Secretary Gary Shaney, the banker down at Dowds, was telling me that it's going to be an easy year, piece of cake, no problem. Don't have any big projects coming up, no building projects. It'll be an easy year. Well, little did he know that Dowds was about to be hit by a 500-year flood. That was 1993. So, now I think Fairfield should be safe from flooding. But I'm not responsible for any natural disasters that occur in the coming year. Now, my first knowledge of the term Chamber of Commerce came almost 40 years ago. That means I'm older than that, of course. And this came from my grandfather Rollins in Bingham, Maine. I need to describe to you the house that they lived in. It was a classic Maine home with an attached barn. It was in town, but they had a barn attached anyway, which was a great architectural design considering the climate. You could step out of the kitchen door into the shed, as it was called, where the pantry was right at hand, and then on down was a storage area for several cods of firewood. And then on out through the door in the shed, you went into the barn, where, of course, they didn't keep horses anymore, but it was a good place to park the car and the lawnmower and everything else. Well, as you went into the barn, to the left was a small door that led to the privy, or as they called it, the back house, I think. But really, it was an indoor outhouse. It was long out of use, of course. I don't want you to get the wrong idea, but well, and above the door to the back house was a sign nailed up there that said, "Member, Bingham Moscow Chamber of Commerce." And that was the first thing I knew about a Chamber of Commerce. Well, that wouldn't indicate a very high regard for the local Chamber of Commerce. But that wasn't the case at all. My grandfather was one of the founders of the Chamber of Commerce in Bingham, and exactly 40 years ago, in 1962, he was president of that Chamber of Commerce. And I might add that was the year that that town was celebrating their sesquicentennial. So now they're 190 years old. It's an old part of the country. Well, economic development is in my blood from my father's side of the family as well. Besides their own business, my grandfather Pedrick and my father were involved in everything in Dowds, from the limestone quarry to the meat locker. If there was anything that was in danger of going out of business, they were there to help save it. And I'm proud to say that my father was involved in the construction or remodeling of nearly 20 houses and apartments in the little town of Dowds, and that's a pretty darn good percentage. And after he got things straightened up in Dowds, well, he's still working on that, but when he moved to Keosauqua and discovered there wasn't a Chamber of Commerce there, he proceeded to help start one. So, well, I guess I'm following in my father's and my grandfather's footsteps in being president of the Chamber of Commerce, but I guess I'm just going to have to imagine what it would be like to start a Chamber of Commerce. We're lucky that the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce has been going strong for 75 years now. To keep the Chamber going strong, we need to imagine that we are starting new every year. We need to maintain our vitality and urgency. We need to try to be just the kind of organization that you would be compelled to start if it wasn't already here. And that, my number one goal for the Chamber, is to continue to be the group that you look to for leadership and a group that gets things done. Now, sometimes this kind of thinking leads to the need for re-engineering. Jody referred to some of my re-engineering already, and yeah, I only had a month, and if I'd had more time, it probably could have been longer. Now, if you put the term imagine together with re-engineering, you come up with a term that I think the Walt Disney Organization coined, and that is Imagineering. So in the Chamber this year, I'm going to try to be the Chief Imagineer, which Michael Eisner maybe really has that title. But. And now I want you to meet my Mouseketeers. And that would be Jay, Susie, Larry, Debbie, and Debbie. A little more formally, Jay Mitchell is Vice President of Economic Development. Susan Booth, Vice President of External Relations. Larry Smith, Vice President of Internal Relations. Debbie Davis, Vice President of Promotions. And Devlin Wilson is going to be my successor. She's President-elect. I'd like they and all the board members to stand and be recognized too. Go ahead. And just so that you don't miss anyone, they are Debbie Carlson, Kim Ledgers. Kim's got a good excuse for not being here. Had twins. Bob Moore, Tim McCaleb, Lisa Greenig, Greg Hanshaw, Doug Foss, Jerry Green, and Jim Sherman. And go ahead and give these hardworking volunteers another hand. And we don't want to forget the glue that holds the organization together, and that's our full-time professional staff, Bob Phipps, Nancy Morrissey, and Sally Chandler. Sally, we hope you stay. Now, touching briefly on the area of economic development, Jay Mitchell's committee will be working on downtown revitalization and new business attraction, and there have already been some successes in this area this year. As Jody mentioned, the Downtown Loan Fund, or the Downtown Revitalization Loan Fund, has been renewed, and the area eligible for that has been expanded. And this being selected by the Iowa architects is a real shot in the arm for our downtown planning. That we're really looking forward to that process, and it's a good example of cooperative effort between the Chamber and FIDA and the city. And as Bert mentioned, the meeting last night of the Fairfield Entrepreneurs Association was very exciting. And we weren't trying to slight you, Bert, by leaving you out of the program, but your names, all your committee, people on your committee are mentioned in the tabloid, newspaper tabloid that you have at your places. Well, there's a lot of talent in this town, evidenced by that meeting last night, and I think that they should be able to make some exciting things happen in the future in the way of new business development and nurturing the ones that we have here. Now, Myron, he didn't have anything on Bert, but I do have a couple of things. And it really gives me a lot of confidence that his group is going to accomplish something, because I found out that Bert is an accomplished magician, and also he seems to have an inside track to the Pope. Of course, with the Polish name, maybe that helps a little bit. And I think really the key thing, I'm really pleased by the awards that he presented tonight, and what this demonstrates is that entrepreneurism is not new in Fairfield. It's been here for a long time, and thanks to the efforts of the Barry Harpers and the A.K. Harpers and all the other entrepreneurs in town, it's going strong. In the area of promotions, Debbie Davis has her hands full. She and Lisa Greenig are working hard on another successful business showcase, and this room will look a lot different 2 weeks from tomorrow when it is filled with displays of the many and varied businesses in Fairfield. Besides this big event, they also have important work to do in developing a Convention and Visitors Bureau and planning for a positive relationship with the Civic Center. I hope you're all as excited about the Civic Center as I am. This project will really be an anchor for downtown revitalization, and it's just going to serve to further accentuate the quality of life that we have to offer here in Fairfield. And here's, to pick on Bob's former hometown, let's let Atumwood do the fighting, and we'll beat them with the Civic Center. We'll build ours first. In external relations, Susan Booth has oversight of the long-standing legislative breakfast and our business welcoming party, and I chose that term specifically, party, the ambassadors. In addition, there are preparations to be made for life after the bypass and important representation of business interests in the Fairfield strategic planning process, which is getting underway. When it comes to programs for you, the members of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, Larry Smith is the man. The golf blast-offs come under his watchful eye. It wasn't hard to get him to agree to that. As well, there's two good committees underneath him there, of course, that, gee.
Earthquake.
Yes, not responsible. Oh, that reminds me, speaking of things geological, do you know what my name comes up on spell check?
Patrick.
No.
I checked it.
No. I like mine better.
What?
Bedrock. What was yours again? I know I'm in trouble now. He'll be working overtime on my bill. Oh, where was I? Okay, Larry Smith, he also has some more mundane matters, such as finance, personnel, and the newsletter. And he is now working on the first ever chamber blood drive scheduled for March the 29th. Please respond positively when he and his committee members call, me included. If I call you, please say yes. Another new event on April 23rd is going to be a fish seminar. And Devlin Wilson knows more about that than anybody else. Some of you may have heard about it. It's really a pretty successful employee motivational seminar. It's been presented at several places around the state, and we're really excited to be offering it to you and your employees on April the 23rd. And it's billed as being really successful in boosting morale and improving the results of your companies and your employees. So we're really looking forward to that. And as soon as the publicity comes out, be sure and get your names in, because we're only going to have 3 90-minute sessions on that day, and they prove to be really, really positive. Well, does it sound like we're 75 years old? I think we're 75 years young. Bev Nelson's committee is working hard, preparing for a year-long celebration of our 75th anniversary. And be sure and save October the 24th, which is the night of our 75th anniversary banquet here. You might see Phipps and I in tails, well, or at least black tie. And it's going to be a really big celebration. We hope that you all can be here, and everyone else too. And I'm really excited tonight to announce that our keynote speaker for that evening is going to be none other than the Iowa boy, writer Chuck Offenberger. So that proves to be a special treat. He's a real fan of Fairfield. If anyone has checked out his website, he's had some really nice things to say about Fairfield and our citizens and our leaders. So be sure and come that night. And we're planning on hosting him for the whole day and trying to place him in writing classes in the high schools, utilize his writing skills. Well, now the words that you've been waiting for, in conclusion. Oh, what's the matter? Monty's notes. Oh, gosh, I didn't. Sorry, Gwen. Boy, now I'm really in trouble. My wife, Gwen.
Outlaws have to be tracked.
Yeah, the outlaws, they stick together.
Jim, here's your mother.
Oh, my mother. My mother always helps me out. Well, looking out over this group of creative and successful business leaders, well, I guess this could be a pun. I'm humbled. He's humble, but I'm Pedrick. But this really is humbling, and it's an honor to have this opportunity to serve as your president in the ensuing year. I want to thank Bev Nelson, who has some Dowd's connections, for asking me to serve on the board. And I'd like to thank Jody for asking me to succeed her as president. And I want to thank my partner, Monty Humble, for introducing me to the Fairfield business community. For some reason, he seems to be very happy that I'm going to all these meetings. But what?
Write all the papers for them now.
Yeah, I spend more time reorganizing the chamber than I do my own business. Well, what I want you to know as members of the Chamber of Commerce, that this is your Chamber of Commerce. The board members, the staff, and I are here to serve you and to work with you to make this the best Chamber of Commerce that you can imagine. Thank you. Now, at this time, I do have a... Oh, always count on Mom for a standing ovation. I gave her a chance to stand up a little while ago, so she might not do that. Okay, well, Jody, I'd like to give you a big thank you. I'm just beginning to find out how hard you really worked for a whole year. But there's some fun in it, too. And thank you for your years of service, the most recent year as president, and you're going to continue with us. Even though you're retired from the board, you stay on as treasurer, which the past president does. And it gives me pleasure to give you a gavel that you can keep, but you can't use it. Well, I guess it's got this little screen door catch on there that's pretty handy. You can take it off there. Well, this is presented to Jody Kerr for outstanding leadership and service as president of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, 2001.
Thank you, Jim. I really wish I could have introduced Jim.
My mom's here, remember.
Okay. Well, you know, I was going to say, you and I go back a lot of years there, Jim, having gone to college together. And in fact, Jim lived right next to me in the dorm, and I do have pictures. But I never would have shared any embarrassing college stories about Jim publicly. Well, not with his folks here anyway. But actually, he probably has more dirt on me than I have on him, so I probably better stay quiet. Dave would like to recognize the Christmas committee, or Connie would. Is that right? Connie, would you like to do that? Yeah, no, go right ahead. That's part of the chamber, and those folks need to be recognized. Please do that.
Well, the last couple, 3 years, I've sat up here and thought, the Christmas committee never gets recognized at this meeting. And I happened to think about it tonight when I'm sitting there, and a lot of people are here tonight, so I thought it'd be nice if they stand. First of all, Nancy does a terrific job of keeping all the notes and the secretary stuff and the treasurer stuff for us. And so I think, first of all, she deserves a great big hand for the Christmas committee. Second of all, Deb Davis is here, and I guess if you could stand when I say your name, and hopefully I won't leave anybody out. Deb Davis, Deb Carlson, Susan Kessel, she's here somewhere. Sean O'Sullivan was part of our committee. Bruce from the radio station, can't think of his last name. Miller, there you go. Have I left anybody else out? Nancy, can you think of anybody? Dee Zillman? Okay. Santa Claus. There's probably several Santa Clauses in the room, that's for sure. But also, we don't really get to directly say thank you to all the businesses that contribute, and we really do appreciate all the money that you contribute. The way that I look at this is we make memories for children, and there are future chamber members and probably future chamber presidents that come to these events, especially the night after Thanksgiving. So thank you from the committee for helping support our small committee and what you do for Fairfield. Thank you.
Thank you, Connie. This is really the fun part of the evening, where we're at now, the presentation of the Outstanding Citizen Awards. Tim Kuiken and Dorian Atwood are here to present this year's awards. What can I say about Tim Kuiken? Not much, since he votes on my salary and bonuses. Or how about Dorian Atwood? I mean, really, there's nothing that needs to be said about either of these people. They're the recipients of last year's Outstanding Citizen Awards, and that pretty much says it all. They're two fine and dedicated members of this community, and I'd like to have Tim and Dorian please come forward and announce this year's Outstanding Citizen Awards.
Prepared to pull out about 5 pages, but I thought 1 page would probably be enough at this point in time. Thanks, Myron, for not saying too much about me. I think it's no overstatement to say that except for the presence of this outstanding citizen in Fairfield over the last several decades, our community might appear somewhat different than it does today. Everyone has seen the movie It's a Wonderful Life, and we sometimes wonder what significance our lives have to our community and the world around us. And how would our community differ without this outstanding citizen, as well as the rest of the ones that have been honored over the decades? Born in Wisconsin, this young man graduated with a degree in art from the Milwaukee State Teachers College, now the University of Wisconsin at Milwaukee. While in college, he was active in a top college choir and was a hired singer in several area churches. Music has always been an important part of his life. He taught school in the Nakusa, Wisconsin. Look that up on your word search. Nakusa, Wisconsin schools initially, and was hired by then Superintendent Pence to start an art department in the Fairfield public school system. In order to accomplish this, he traveled from school to school, including the rural schools, to teach art. I know a lot of younger people assume that there was always an art program, art curriculum in the Fairfield school system, just as we assume that there always will be one, even in these times of budget shortfalls. Over the years he's been in Fairfield, he was a charter member of the Art Educators of Iowa and served as treasurer for many years. He has served as chief negotiator for the Fairfield Education Association. He helped found the Fairfield Art Association, was instrumental with Paul Sells in renovating the basement of the Fairfield Carnegie Library building for the Art Association Gallery, and instigated the Art Association's garden tour, which is in its 15th year. He's been a board member of the Fairfield Concert Association for around 40 years, serving as president twice and now as treasurer. He's been on the Fairfield Airport Commission for 30 years and is still the chairman. He also was a charter member of the FPAC board, serving as president for several terms. In his spare time, he's enjoyed sailing, flying, singing in the Presbyterian choir and community chorus, and gardening. He also took the opportunity to grow professionally, obtaining his master's in fine arts from the University of Iowa. He's mentored other art teachers over the years and has helped introduce to the area different art mediums. As I understand it, he also does some computer consulting on the side for the concert and art associations. Needless to say, Robert Glocke, one of our outstanding citizens for 2002, has been instrumental in initiating, improving, and maintaining a lot of our cultural and civic institutions in Fairfield. I'm proud to be able to present this award to him this evening. Bob?
I appreciate this very much. This is a big surprise. I'm quite concerned about the role of the arts in Fairfield. We saw in the newspaper very recently that there's some consideration of cutting back in music and art in the school system. And I think that would be a disaster. I hope you people, you leaders in the community, can keep that from happening. I've had a good life here in Fairfield. I enjoy this town very much, and we're going to try to keep it going, aren't we?
Dorian, it's your turn.
Well, Tim may have had one page, but I have a book. I'm honored tonight to have the opportunity to present the Fairfield Citizen of the Year Award. This recipient has lived in Fairfield over 13 years and has played a significant, prominent role in many organizations and projects in our community. This recipient has also been very active in civic organizations, serving as a director and president of the Community Mental Health Center Board, director and president of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, member of the Foster Care Review Board, and member and officer of the Chapter C of the PEO. This recipient currently is a member of the Civic Center Board and is playing a very active role in this project. While president of the Chamber, this recipient oversaw the land acquisition that subsequently led to the Wagon Wheel Apartments in downtown Fairfield, coordinating the interests of the city, chamber, and private developer, and for her efforts, she was presented an old brick from the old Courtney building that was torn down. Our recipient has also found time to be a volunteer instructor for the hospice program, a church youth leader, and a team mom for a T-ball team. And our recipient has also played an active role on the fundraising committee for our public library. But perhaps one of this award winner's most visible accomplishments is the playground structure at Old B. Nelson Park, as she was the chairman of the Partners for Play project. a project that coordinated thousands of hours of volunteer labor, monetary contributions, and contributions of equipment and materials, resulting in a terrific facility to be used by our community. Our award winner constantly amazes her co-workers, friends, and spouse with her constant energy and uncanny ability to juggle family, career, and civic duties. And she does these things with a smile on her face and a natural ability to never appear harried. Now that many of you have guessed who this recipient is, I can be more specific. She was born and raised in Tipton. Her father was a lawyer and was appointed to be a district court judge. Her mother ran an abstract company and tried to keep her two sons from torturing their younger sister too much. Of course, for those of you who know our recipient, you undoubtedly know some of the torture might have been well-deserved. She graduated from Tipton High School in 1978 after a high school career that included competitive swimming and golf, along with many, many other activities. Much to her father's delight, she then continued her education at the University of Iowa, which, for us Iowa Staters, we don't hold against her, where she started with an interest in drama and subsequently changed to journalism. She graduated with a BA degree in 1982. During her undergraduate years at Iowa, she was elected president of her sorority, Alpha Chi Omega, and also met and developed a relationship with a young man who was determined to become a physician. During this period of her life, the legal bug that was in her family took hold, and she decided she wanted to go to law school. So our award winner enrolled in and attended the University of Iowa Law School, graduating in 1985. From law school graduation until the summer of 1988, our award winner practiced law in Tipton, bringing home the bacon to support her medical student husband while he finished medical school and residency. From the summer of 1988, Fairfield has been fortunate to be the home of our award winner. Now, there are some things some of you may not know about our award winner. First of all, she is an excellent golfer, although family, work, and volunteer activities have significantly reduced her time on the golf course in recent years. She does have a hole-in-one to her credit, and the Sue B. Honey golf ball she used to get the hole-in-one can be seen proudly displayed in her office. Another thing you might know about our recipient is that she was active in speech and drama and starred in a production of the play Barefoot in the Park. Also, another thing that you might not know is that our award winner still chuckles when she recalls the first day at her Fairfield office, when she told her new employers that she would need to be on maternity leave. A very well-kept secret is her shopping ability. When she and her golf group went to St. Simon, Georgia in October of the year 2000 for a big week-long golf trip, the group shopped every day and never played golf once. My kind of lady. Rumor has it that most shopkeepers in St. Simon know her on a first-name basis, and they stock up on inventory when they know she's coming. Professionally, our award winner is highly respected and well-liked by her colleagues. She is known for her quick wit, her analytical skills, and ability to deal with people in difficult circumstances. And her office colleagues always anticipate her return from the beauty shop so they can see the color of the week. Our recipient is a partner shareholder in the law firm of Foss, Kuiken, Guken, and Cochran, PC, her place of employment since she arrived in Fairfield. She also is currently a director of Iowa State Bank and Trust Company, and she is the mother of 3 children, Ryan, Duncan, and Shannon, and is married to Terry. Won't you please join me in congratulating our new Citizen of the Year, Sarah Cochran.
Okay, I don't know who spilled all the beans on that, but that's, I will get back to him because remember paybacks. So, I was just worried about what in the world my last name spells in spell check, so I think. And honestly, only about half of what was said about me was true. It's not the color of the week, it's the color of the month. But I guess somebody should take note that an attorney is speechless, but I guess I really am at this point. Thank you to those members who chose me as Citizen of the Year. It's a very humbling position. Certainly I have a lot of people to thank. My cohorts, my partners in crime, certainly appreciate them understanding that, oh gosh, the light's off in Sarah's office again. I wonder what meeting she's at now. And definitely my family. Probably my children's first phrases were, Mommy's at a meeting. My husband for understanding and recognizing the need that we have to give back to our community. He goes to more meetings than I do, frankly. I think my parents were instrumental in impressing upon me the value of giving back to your community. I recall my dad giving a eulogy at a dear friend's funeral many, many, many years ago and saying that this world was a better place because this man walked upon it. And that always kind of stuck with me and made me think that, gosh, maybe that is why we're here. If we can each leave the place better and impact upon it, our world better so that our kids can enjoy it and our grandkids and so forth. Specifically for me, I hope we can all help make Fairfield a place that our children will want to remain and our grandchildren. I've enjoyed most all my committees. And Larry Smith called me the other day and said, Sarah, would you help with the community blood drive? And I said, gosh, there's something poetic about an attorney calling and asking for blood. So I may be calling you. But again, thank you very much. There's a lot of people out there whom I see who deserve this award, and I'm sure the Chamber wishes they could give many of these out each year. I am humbled by it. Thank you very much. I'm in great company. Congratulations to Bob. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
We'll get to the bottom of who wrote that thing, Sarah. It wasn't me. Congratulations to Bob and Sarah, two very deserving citizens of our community. Well, those good words again, Jim. In conclusion, we've hit that time of the evening, and we appreciate everyone's attendance this evening and your patience as we've gone through this program and we've shared about the great things that have been accomplished in Fairfield over the next year and what's to come in the coming year. I want to thank all of you for your support of the Chamber this past year. This year should be a very special year as we observe the 75th anniversary of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce, and we look forward to that big event on October 25th. A couple of reminders. Don't forget about, again, the business showcase that will be here 2 weeks from tomorrow, March 16th, Saturday, March 16th. It's been sold out for some time and promises to be a great event. Also, we would like to ask all of tonight's award winners, and there was some dispute about where we were going to take your picture, but the final decision is go over against that wall after we're done tonight, and we're going to get a photo op with all of our award winners. So if you want an award tonight, please, as soon as we're done here this evening, go on over here to the corner and we'll get your picture taken. I would like to ask you to please stay, join Dave Reef on the dance floor this evening. Enjoy the music of the sound company, a great trio that we're very privileged to have here this evening to provide some music and entertainment. I want to thank you again on behalf of the Fairfield Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm Moran Goon. Good night. Drive safely.